So you read the title, so you know what this is about. Yep. It was always the damn phone. What am I even talking about? This is the reason the technology you use, all the entertainment you're constantly getting, is the reason behind why you can't come up with your own ideas, why you feel so shit all the time, is because of this technology. And it's not the technology itself that's necessarily the problem. It's the fact that it's been weaponized and used against us. And this sounds, obviously either really original to you or really crazy, but I'm not just going out and hating on technology, okay? This is not what I'm here to do. I'm trying to say how the entertainment that comes along with this technology is turning us into it's making us lose certain abilities that we previously had. And I found this out when I stopped listening to music when I'm like walking around and doing stuff, or just out and about in the day. Try this for real. Stop listening to music when you're walking somewhere. Stop listening to music when you're doing other shit in your house or something like that. Stop constantly trying to watch something or listen to something. Let your mind sit in silence. That's what I was just doing now before I started this video, and it actually helps me come up with things to say. And what is the reason for that? And I think I might have mentioned it before on this channel, but the reason for it is that every time you use any sort of technology for entertainment or whatever, you're actively not using your brain in the same way as if you were not using it. So go on a 1 hour walk, for example, with music and without music. But try it without music, because you've probably already done it with music before. Without music, you can find that your brain will start firing off immediately, almost. Like within the first 10 minutes, you'll start coming up with ideas. You'll start thinking a lot more. You'll start thinking about occurrences, and things around you are going to start prompting more thought. That's how your brain's supposed to be. Your brain's constantly active with new ideas and things that it can think of, right? Do this enough and you're going to start finally coming up with all these original ideas that you keep saying you lack. I had this massive problem. I sometimes literally can't think of something to make these videos about. And it sounds kind of stupid because I should be able to come up with so many different ideas. But a lot of them just sometimes seem so unoriginal. And that's because a lot of the ideas that I've been having aren't coming from me, aren't really what I want to say. It's mainly just stuff that I've heard that I'm just regurgitating. And sure, that is part of it. You need to, you need to gather the information somewhere so that you can redistribute it like I am right now. But this whole thing is, with the idea thing, is probably not entirely original. But I came up with this for myself. I didn't read this anywhere. I just noticed it, that when I stopped constantly giving my mind entertainment, my mind just started entertaining itself, and it started coming up with things. It started coming up with ideas. It started coming up with scenarios. And I would, go through these in my head. And all of a sudden, I'm going through so much more thoughts, so many more things are happening in my head that I'm actually coming up with decent ideas. So if you're struggling with that, try it for a little bit. Seriously, I would start with music, because that's one thing that you can just do passively, and your brain can think while you do anything else. It's not limited to doing one thing at a time, especially when you're doing something physically, like say you're washing dishes or doing whatever, right? You don't have to be listening to music. Your brain can work while you do that. Same with any other physical activity, right? This is the reason why so many people just don't have original ideas, why they can't come up with things on their own anymore, why so much conversation is just bleak nowadays with some people. Just because people are completely unoriginal. They don't have anything new to say because they haven't thought of anything new, because all they do is just listen to others. And I haven't read this book yet, but I have heard of a concept from one of Nietzsche's books about the last man or the final man or something like that. And the way we use modern technology really resembles that, because the final man, or the last man, let's call him, I think it's the last man, is kind of like a warning to people. Basically, it's the idea of a person who doesn't really seek out challenge, doesn't do anything difficult, and is primarily so consumed with entertainment and other people's ideas that he doesn't come up with any of his own. He doesn't come up with anything new. You can look into this and see how many different other attributes there are to this. You know, it's quite well described, but I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. I read that a while ago. But the point is, you know, go and find it. Go and read it on The Last Man by Nietzsche. And you'll see that the resemblance is clear between modern day people and what he's describing. I mean, modern day people are so numbed out by the entertainment that this technology brings out, because it's just a really, really good version of what people had in the past, and it's even more accessible at all times. I mean, fucking hell, you can literally wear AirPods, for example, for most of your day. I used to do that. I used to literally listen to music for most of my day. I was listening to something, either whether or not it's music or whether it's, you know, a podcast or a video or something like that. There have been days that I used to literally go past for like weeks like this, just constantly consuming something. And if you're constantly consuming, how do you expect to be able to make anything of your own? Because it's interesting, because when you're listening to something, whether it's music, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a video or a movie, right? Whatever it is, you know, even with books, for example, when you're reading a book or listening to an audiobook, while you're doing this and your brain's processing new information, your brain's not going to be actively trying to come up with new things. Sure, you can make connections between the things you're currently hearing and the things that you already know. And that's, for example, like when conversations happen, that's exactly what's going on. You're listening, you're connecting ideas that you already knew, and you're then sending them back out to the new person. And that's how a conversation, you know, tends to work. But when you're listening to music all the time, your brain is focusing on what it's hearing. And, you know, especially when there's lyrics there, or if it's a YouTube video or I'm not really making a good case for myself, I suppose, but, you know, if it helps, it helps. A movie or anything, or an audiobook. While your brain is listening to this, your brain is focusing on this new information. Your brain's not trying to come up with anything new, because right now is time of listening, you know? You don't really go to like lessons just to sit there and think for yourself. You go to lessons to sit there and listen to what this teacher has to say for you, right? Or has to teach you, because you want to find out new information. So your brain puts on hold your current thoughts. And if you do this all day, every day, you know, you're constantly listening to some sort of entertainment, you're inevitably not going to be able to come up with anything yourself. I mean, how do you expect that to happen? Your brain can't catch a break, right? Seriously. So, you know, I just wanted to get this out here and tell you that, yeah, it is the damn phone. It is the damn phone. It's the reason for all these different problems that are coming up, the reason why we will compare ourselves to literally fake personalities and, you know, strive for these ideals that aren't really achievable, and also why we're so unoriginal nowadays, and why some of us literally can't think for ourselves. You know, I see motherfuckers nowadays literally go on to ChatGPT and ask it to make a basic decision for them. That's the next fucking step. That's like completely taking away your own ability to think. It's literally going on to ChatGPT or onto whatever fucking AI and asking it to make a decision for you, because that's where some people are already getting to. Like, some people can't even do that anymore. They'll ask it the most basic questions. Well, should I do this or should I do that? So, you know, cut it early before it gets to that bad level, because like once you get there, I mean, it's going to be even harder to recover from that. So try that walk I suggested. Go for an hour, just try and sit in silence. And if you can't, you know, sit in silence, bring a book with you or something. I mean, or a notepad especially. Go sit somewhere with a notepad, empty paper and a pen. No music, no entertainment. See what your brain comes up with. I promise you will fill these pages. You will, because your brain will actually start doing stuff. Your brain will actually start thinking for itself. And you know, if you want to make videos like I'm doing here, or, you know, or whatever, or write books or whatever you want to do, this is where you start. If you can't come up with your own ideas, this is where you start. Anyways, just a little rant about this. I hope it helped, and I'll probably see you next one. Have faith and keep going, my friend.